Welcome to Youth Sports Mastery on the Daily Parks and Rec Show, hosted by Aaron Locks and sponsored by National Academy of Athletics. Join us live every Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as Aaron sits down with coaches, recreation professionals, and industry leaders to discuss youth sports, athlete development, coaching excellence, and the positive impact sports have on young people and communities. Tune in for expert insights, inspiring stories, and practical strategies to help young athletes succeed. In this episode, Marla Townsend shares powerful insights on youth sports, confidence, mental performance, and helping young athletes enjoy the journey.
Welcome, everybody, to the Youth Sports Mastery Show. I'm a little nervous today because I've got an amazing guest who's going to talk about youth sports performance, and there's so much history. To me, it's a little bit because I'm going to be taking notes. I got my Post-its ready to go, and the reason I'm nervous a little bit is just because this is going to be one where I've got all kinds of ideas in my head, and I'm trying to push everything out so that we can have a real clean, clear conversation, so easy for me to say, so you guys get a lot out of this. So Marla's going to be with us in a minute, Marla Townsend, so stay tuned. Let's run those spots, pay the bills. When we come out the other side, we'll be ready to dive in here on the Youth Sports Mastery Show. See you in 2 minutes.
They say it's just rec. Just rec, where kids learn to try again. Just rec, where confidence begins. Where teamwork, effort, and fun matter more than trophies. It's not about perfection. It's about participation. It's not just rec. It's where kids learn to love the game and themselves. It's just rec until they learn teamwork for life. It's just rec, but it's everything to them. It's more than rec. It's a movement. It's just rec until you realize it's shaping the next generation. Together, we're not just running programs. We're building a culture of confidence, connection, and community. Join us.
It didn't start with a studio, or a big budget, or a perfect plan. It started with belief. Belief that stories matter. Belief that voices deserve to be heard. Belief that community is powerful. What began as a single conversation has grown into something far bigger than us. Today we pause, we reflect, and we say thank you. To our guests, thank you for showing up, for being honest, for trusting us with your stories and letting the world hear them. To our partners and sponsors, thank you for standing with us when the vision was still taking shape. Your belief gave this network its foundation. And to our audience, the ones who listened, who watched, who shared, who believed. You didn't just support DPRS Media Network, you built it. This past year changed everything. We grew our shows, we raised our standards, we reached new communities, and we told stories that needed to be told. From parks and recreation, to sports, youth, technology, and culture. We learned something important. Growth isn't about numbers, it's about impact. As we grow, our mission becomes clear. Our mission is to create media that matters, media that educates, media that inspires, media that connects people through honest, human storytelling. To spotlight the people, the programs, and the ideas shaping parks, recreation, sports, and the future of our shared spaces. And our vision is bold. We envision a media network that doesn't just document the world, but helps shape it, where local voices spark global change, where communities see themselves reflected, and where media is a force for good. The future ahead is bigger than any single episode. More voices, more stories, more collaboration. Live events, original films, deeper conversations, and a growing community united by purpose. From episode 1 to episode 400, thank you for believing when it was hard. Thank you for staying when it was uncertain. And thank you for walking this journey with us. This is DPRS Media Network, built by community, driven by purpose, powered by stories. And we're just getting started.
Welcome back, everybody. We are diving in. We're going to bring Marla Townsend on. If you want to go ahead and do that, Jovi, that would be great. There she is, joining us now. All right. Hey, Marla, would you do me a favor? First of all, where are you at? You look like you're out there in the sunshine somewhere.
Let's say I am somewhere between home and my destination. My destination is Clearwater, Florida, and I am right west of Tallahassee. So I'm about halfway there.
Okay, out there in the park, out there in sunshine, as a true Parks and Rec professional.
Absolutely.
Hey, you know what? I know your background, and I've been, figuring out, and I've been had you on the counter. I'm like, here we go. But these folks probably don't know you, and I tell everybody for me to try to go through your list. So let's just do this. Tell me a little bit about who you are. We'll call it a title, right? Mental performance coach. But I think I'd love to hear a little bit more about how does that happen? Where does that start from?
It started before I knew it started. So back in my early days, when really the playing fields were my classroom, not only did I realize I was having fun and I had a competitiveness within me, I knew that I had something inside of me that was driving me to be successful. And I'm not talking by hits and runs and all that, but I'm talking about being the best that I could possibly be. And it started at an early age. And so then as I go through my career, and I had so many firsts, my high school first basketball team and the first World Series champ for Dixie Youth softball. And I coached the first fast pitch game in the state of Alabama on the high school level. I started the program at UAB as the softball coach. And there's so many firsts, but when it comes down to it, relationships summarize
Amen.
Where I'm at and how I got there. So now when I'm retired, I'm living the retired life. You kick back, you prop your feet up, right? No. My passion right now is touching lives. And so touching lives at young people and helping them to realize what's inside of them and really become aware of the thoughts that go through their minds so that they can then find that something that I found at an early age and it can drive them whatever direction. I just know that sports play an important role in that long after their playing days are over.
Amen to that. Well, first of all, congratulations on what a wild ride, what a wonderful ride. And I'm sure you've had your ups, you've had your downs, your lefts, your rights.
No doubt.
I love that. And so your passion comes through, and everybody's going to have to watch the volume because I'm bringing it too. So this is going to be a good one.
Let's go.
All right. So let's go to young Marla. So when you were a young girl and you were growing up, you played what? And how did you get introduced to the sports space? I mean, we're the Youth Sports Mastery Show. I really think it's always interesting to me. My mom, when I was 7, my dad left when I was 3. My mom, when I was 7, said she kicked me out of the house. She drove me to the baseball field, said, there's your baseball coach, and don't come back until you're a man. I'm joking, but that's literally how it all started, right?
Yeah. Just by doing something that you love. Yeah.
Well, and I didn't even know I love it. I was horrible at it, but you know what I did? I was so blessed to have this amazing coach who took me under his wing and taught me about failure, which then allowed me to be successful, right? And I know that's right up your alley.
Absolutely. Yes.
You start. Tell me about your background.
Okay, so early on, I would say 5 or 6 years old. It started in my front yard. My neighbors were 2 twin boys that were probably 7, 8 years older than me, and then their brother. And so it started playing football. Now, understand, if there was ever a runt of the pack, I was the runt. All throughout my career, I can show you pictures of my teammates were here, and I was tiny. I went to college. I was tiny. But I think that really helped me realize It does not matter the size. It's about what you've got inside you and the passion. So these guys, we would get out there and we would play football. To this day, many decades later, I still have the helmet they gave me. I have the shoulder pads that they gave me. My goal at an early age was to be the first female in the punt, pass, and kick, because then I went from Birmingham, Alabama to Canton, Ohio, right there, Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So that really football is what got it started. But then, and as you said, I like to say I got kidnapped myself by my parents, and they took me to Ohio, where the snow and all that cold temperatures. And then all of a sudden, we have an opportunity to come back to the South. We did. My best friend called on the landline, of course. She said, hey, we're having tryouts for the softball team at the community park. Why don't you come? So I went. I showed up. I had nothing. I had to borrow somebody's glove, somebody's cleats, because everything that I had was on a Mayflower moving van. Little did I know, I can still picture it as if it were yesterday at Huffman, Alabama. Little did I know that that right there was going to mean so much to my life, as you said, the highs and the lows, but just the competitiveness. And it really helped me identify who I was without me realizing it.
Yeah.
And so that started at an early age. And then I went from there, and female sports back in the 70s and early 80s, you had to fight, and we did some fighting.
I got to share a story with you, which I love it. So my mom was a pioneer,
Yes.
an artist. 1974, this gal, Jenny Fully, Fulle, came to the Mill Valley Little League where I grew up.
Okay.
They weren't going to let her play.
No.
She
might get hurt.
In the nation, no girl could play. My mom led the pack, and Jenny got allowed to play in the Little League.
That's incredible.
Really good. My claim to fame is I was the second batter to face her, and she drilled me in the ribs with the ball. But you know what? I'll tell you what, she could play. She was great.
Yeah.
And you know, we were 70, whatever, some people, but again, I don't think there's any better life skill teaching tool opportunity than youth sports. I just feel like you develop the competitive spirit, and you realize, like you said, I may be little, but I'm going to be mighty. I'm going to develop the heart, and you're going to go through it. I feel like that's the piece of the puzzle that we have to help, is to bring rec sports back to communities on this amazing level. Because what you talk about every day in your, we'll call it your day job, your passion, is that this development of this thing.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
There's the swing, and that's the issue. And I am on a mission.
Yes.
NASCAR athletics to bring rec sports back to communities. And it's not just that I'm anti-club. It's really about how do we help bring youth sports back to every child's life, right? That's the key, right?
Absolutely. And you're not talking about performance. You're talking about giving somebody the opportunity and establishing that community, pride in that community, and inclusion. And everybody says they want it, but then you've got to drive it. I mean, you got to do more than just say you want it. You've got to be able to really get behind what it's going to take to do it the right way, because you want to influence lives. You want to touch their lives. They may not go and be a collegiate athlete. They may, but they're going to get so much from playing rec programs and everything that goes along with it. And they may not be able to trace it back for years down the road, but they will. I promise you that.
Just the fact that I'm plus 60 and you're obviously 40, but you look back at years in our lives and we're still talking about, right? That's the key. And I
yes, exactly.
Because these kids are being put in a position where youth sports becomes a JOB instead of a JOY. And if it's a joy and they fall in love with whatever it is, when you and I started to play a game back in the day, we did this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we figured out sometimes we did this and we did this, but we figured it out. And that was how life began. It was our way of navigating through to make us good citizens and to realize, like, we didn't do, you know how we dealt with bullies in my day?
Yeah.
Either of us took care of it, or we just said, we're not playing with you, go do your own thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not a national crisis. We do. Community. And I don't think there's any better way to build a community. Man, you said, I'm so glad we're talking about it. It's about community, right? It's about whatever it is, community, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we're not talking about being an elite athlete. We're talking to somebody that shows up. Let's just say it's day one when they touch the ball. Where they're at right there. And then guess what? Within an hour or so, they realize if I work hard, I'm getting a little bit better. Yeah. And so they're setting their goals and they're looking at being the best and then being coachable, really, honestly, be coachable. And then let's see how good we can be. Because regardless of level, if you see a young person improve their skills, they walk different. They hold their head up and they can't wait to get back there. And it's not driving the performance, it's driving the experience and the opportunity.
Right. And you know what the cool part about it is, don't get me wrong, we competed. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt. Absolutely.
Right? But there was a competitive spirit where it wasn't win at all costs. And you know, the funniest thing to me, I've got a talk coming up with a group with Roderick and these guys that are talking about what's going on in youth baseball, because it's become, but here's the funniest thing I remember with my kids. No matter what happened in that game, by the time the game was done and we got to the snack bar and here's your $5, unfortunately, whatever, they were done. They're on to the next thing, right? And yes, so I feel like us parents, I'm going to dig into your mind right now. I need some help with this. How do we help the parents to realize they cannot make the journey amazing for the kid, but they can absolutely ruin it for them? Give me some tips if you're a parent there, and there's a lot of them listening. What's a tip? Okay, go for it, Marla. Give them a couple of tips as to how we can, cool our jets and let it be their journey, right?
Yeah. So when you talked about the snack bar and that concession stand up there, that's what we call nowadays being in the present moment. We knew, we left it on the field. And that's what we ask. We ask you to leave it on the field. But it's pretty neat because in 2 weeks, I've got a Parenting Young Athletes journal coming out that I am dedicating specifically for helping. Because first of all, parents need to understand this isn't your athletic career coming out a second time. This is not your athletic career 2.0. This is where you need to be who you needed when you were their age.
Wait, time out. You need to say that again. That was powerful. Remember, it's not their journey, but I heard it, but
as a parent,
yes,
you need to be the person, the coach, the supporter, the encourager that you needed when you were your child's age. And that is so, so important, because when I'm talking in front of parents and groups and I say that, you should see their face and their reaction. They remember who they needed. And listen, there's so much that goes into it, but we're about increasing the confidence, whatever level our young athlete is at. We want to increase their confidence. And they do so by being successful at a certain task. And it is skill related. But when they do that and they improve that skill, they carry themselves with confidence. As parents, we can't break that down like we do sometimes. Sometimes we try to steal the confidence by telling them immediately what they did wrong. Who do you think knows better what they did wrong?
Right?
The kid. The kid knows what they did, and they don't want you to reinforce something that they already know.
Right.
They want you to say, what did you enjoy about today? The car ride is so important. The car ride is more important than the skill. The score, more important.
I want to talk about the car ride in a minute, but I don't lose the thread. So for me, the lessons that they learn, I want to add to that, because to me, it's the success which comes from knowing they've tried. We focus on the effort rather than just the result, right?
Absolutely.
Second piece of that, what I think is so powerful, is that that if we parents can let it be their journey, knowing I just created a post and I gave a talk about embrace the suck, right?
Absolutely.
If they embrace the suck and they realize that's part of the joy, right?
Yes.
Of the ability to know they can get themselves back up. Because if a child learns that, then they can go out in the real world as an adult and compete in the real game, which is life, correct?
Absolutely. Let me tell you the story that I share. Like, I love that. I love that. Embrace the suck. It's our life GPS. When you and I are driving down the road, and these kids, and I talk with these young players about this, and I said, and you're riding in the car with your parents, and they're taking you somewhere, and they make a wrong turn. What does their GPS tell them? That's it. You'll never reach your destination. You'll never feel that. No, they reroute them. And if we can get our youth being rerouted, they may have made an error. They may have made an error that cost a game. They may have made a diving catch that won the game. But they are a young person who is out there in front of everybody, most importantly, wearing uniform that says that they're one, they're united, they're family with their team.
Yeah.
And they should be able to deal with the highs and the lows because later in life, they've got to. And so as a parent, it's really important that you understand they have a GPS just like we do. Sometimes we have to help them reroute themselves and let them know that we believe in them. Yeah. And
You know
not
what
tell them that that's
else-
it. You will never reach your destination.
We also have to not take that opportunity away from our kids. When
Oh.
my daughter played softball and she was 8 years old, and a ball hit one hop and hit her in the thigh and took her down. She was a tiny thing, probably your size, right? She got taken down. Her
Yeah.
mom went to jump up and go help her. And unfortunately, she was wearing a hoodie and I grabbed it. And I know to this day, I'm sorry because it made us sad, but she stopped. We sat there. She looked at me. But you know what I did? I gave my daughter a chance. She was on the ground, Mia. She was on the ground. She looked down.
Yep.
She had a tear in her eye. She put her hand up like, I got this. To the
Yep.
coach, she said, I'm okay. She got up and played the rest of the third, right? She had a tear in her eye and she played it. And I know that sounds hard, but you know what? She did it and she finished the game. That night she had a softball mark on her thigh. But the confidence you said from her to be able to do that, right? That and we can't take that away from kids.
Aaron, I got chills when you're telling me that because that's what it's about. It's not all win, 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 win. And it's not just success, but it's about dealing with the pains that come along with it, you know?
Yeah.
And like you said, the highs and lows and the left and the rights. Absolutely. I love that story. I truly got chills.
Good. I'm like I said, I'm fired up. So let me ask you this: the one piece that is interesting to me is that a guy just did this whole thing on it psychologically. How many kids you see with a cast anymore, right? And the reason they don't have casts is because they're not playing. No, they're not. Well, here's what's happened. Us parents have made everything so safe that kids don't get the opportunity to take, I'll call it safe risks, right? Anymore, right? When I was a kid, we used to jump and grab the fence and hop on over. These kids are like, yeah, you know. So how can we mentally help a parent? Because I don't think there's any better safe place than youth sports to take the risk. Because hey, Marla, I'm pitching. You're gonna swing. Because if you don't swing, you may walk, you may strike out, but you got right. So it's about trying. There's a talk that I'm giving soon on leadership about the difference between mistakes of commission or
No. Yep. Yeah, no, that's huge. Our parents sometimes do wrap their child in bubble wrap.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I do. One of the first things I think, I mean, we toss a ball, we throw catch if it's your first time. Guess what we're going into? We're going into diving because I want them to experience
yeah.
getting uncomfortable immediately. So then I challenge them, hey, I want you to become comfortable being uncomfortable because you're going to lay out. If you truly want this, then you're going to lay out and you're going to get outside of your body and you're going to have a little bit of blood, you know? I love that. But yes, we're not going to wrap them in bubble wrap. You know, we're going to challenge them because you've got to know what you can reach by being challenged and get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things that I'm finding is, and it's a word that Coach Wooden taught me when I worked with him, and he said, failure never becomes fatal until you blame someone else for the
Mhm.
mistake or the failure. And I find ourselves in our society, one of the reasons why we've got such a shortage in umpires and referees is because everybody, is blaming them like they were Frankenstein coming to get the village, right? They're out there. We can't have games without umpires
Yeah.
and referees, but blame. Would you talk a little bit about the blame game and how important it is to, again, embrace the suck, but allowing kids, but just the mental piece of blame? Or I got to meet Tom Selleck. He was giving a talk about the one thing in the United States that can help our kids most, and probably adults, is the ability to give back individual accountability.
Yes, I mean, absolutely. And first of all, Gene Bartow replaced Coach Wooden. Gene Bartow hired me at UAB.
Come on.
And
There you go.
yeah,
There's the thread. I got the thread. Yeah.
absolutely. So listen, what you just described is a parent that's pointing the fingers at everybody else, and there's a little child that's sitting there listening to their parent make excuses. That's a problem. That's a problem. And so if we're addressing it with the young person, it's really ownership, because there's things that we can control and there's things that we can't control. And umpires are going to make mistakes. And you know what you do? You say, so what?
Yeah.
They're going to make a mistake because they're human. And so we really turn the focus on, I can control my attitude. I can control my hustle. Most of all, I can control my response to the mistakes that others make. I can't control the coaches lineup. I can't control the umpires. I can't control a ball that I absolutely crushed and the defense makes a diving catch, but I can control running it out to first.
Right.
And so when in this journal that I'm doing is really addressing with the parents that a child is watching you. A child is watching, a child that you want to live the best life and to be what they can be, but they're watching you. And so we're not going to make excuses. We're going to say, so what? How could things have happened differently? Yes, but what could I have done as an individual?
Amen.
And the parents have got to reinforce that with the athletes, because that's a whole bigger lesson than just sports. That carries us on through life. In the corporate world, we can't control decisions that are made above our pay scale,
Right.
but we can control how we respond to it. And sometimes that stuff is just a test. I would often be coaching and I would have a lineup, and all of a sudden this person might be 3 for 3. She comes up to bat, she steps out the batter's box, and I call timeout. And I replace her. And this in live games, I'm not crazy, but it's in a scrimmage, and I replace her. And I'm watching her body language. And so the body language I should see is her looking at that person, telling them what she saw in the picture and giving them a high five and saying, I believe in you. And so that's the kind of situations that us as coaches in the park and rec and as parents and as community leaders, we've got to surround these young people with, because that is going to touch their lives in a positive way.
And it's interesting too, because what we all have to, whether we're a coach or a parent, we have to realize that these kids are watching and they're picking up more on the nonverbal than the verbal. The verbal is important, but they, what you say, if it doesn't match, they got a sniffer. They can sniff BS, right? Like I remember a story. There was a guy in a league out here, and his kid was a pretty good player, but the kid struck out, and the dad didn't say anything, but in the stands did this.
Yep.
And the dad was actually, he said, I asked the dad later because we had a long talk about it. He said, I was disappointed for my son, not in my son. But
that's not how they read it.
That didn't see that, right? And so we have to. My son struck out one time in a big game, and I got up and said, literally, this game, you can think I'm nuts. This game was, he struck out to end the season. We win, we continue. He had pitched 3 innings, didn't give up anything, already had 2 hits. He was playing a great game, but he struck out at the end of the game. I stood up and said, "Ah, boy, way to compete, Mace. I'm proud of you." All the parents look like I'm nuts. We just lost the game, and I'm cheering.
Yep, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. let me tell you this story. I'm at UAB and I'm a young coach. I came from 12 years of high school and elementary school physical education,
Yeah.
and I loved it. But when I go to UAB and we're competing, we've got a really close game. And one of my big hitters, that's also a pitcher, she stepped up there taking hacks, and on her second swing and miss, I looked down, I shook my head, and I looked back up. She was staring straight at me. So we talk after the game as a whole, and I said, I need input. And she told me what that meant to her. You know what I did the next day? I set up a camera at practice on myself.
Nice.
I learned more in that moment of body language. And when I'm working with young athletes one-on-one, I often will video them without them knowing it, just so they can see their body language. And as parents, wow. But Aaron, let me tell you this. You asked how I got into mental performance. I need to be right now who I needed when I was a wild child basketball player.
Yeah.
If I had somebody guiding me and correcting me and pointing and videoing me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now softball, I wasn't like that, but I really truly look back and I don't want them to lose control like I did sometime on the basketball court. And that is a driving force for me.
Yeah. Okay, look, we're gonna talk more about this in a minute. I want to talk about leaders and coaches and mentors and that. We're gonna take a break because we got to take care of the bills. We're gonna come back, have a glass of water. We'll see you guys in 2 minutes, 2 seconds. We're coming back.
Let's go.
This year, we didn't just attend an event. We became part of something bigger. IRPA 2026 brought together leaders, innovators, and community builders, all united by one mission: to strengthen parks, recreation, and the people they serve. For DPRS Media Network, it was an honor to join IRPA 2026 and take part in meaningful, real-time conversations, capturing stories and amplifying voices that matter. To IRPA, thank you for creating a space where collaboration thrives and the future of parks and recreation is shaped together. We extend our deepest gratitude to Amelia and all our partners who made these live interviews possible. IRPA 2026 wasn't just an event, it was a reminder that when communities connect and stories are shared, impact follows. From all of us at DPRS Media Network, thank you, IRPA. Thank you, partners and sponsors. We're honored to stand with you and excited for what's next.
In today's parks and recreation industry, communication, safety, and efficiency go hand in hand. That's where Outdoor Link comes in, delivering smart technology that empowers city departments and community planners to do more, smarter. Outdoor Link's platform connects and automates everything that keeps your parks running smoothly, from lighting and locks to signage, water features, Wi-Fi, and digital advertising. Control and schedule park lights for safety and energy savings. Remotely manage facility access. Update digital displays in real time. Coordinate fountains and splash pads. Provide public connectivity. And even run community or sponsorship campaigns on digital screens. All from one simple, unified platform, giving you real-time control, data, and cost efficiency. For parks and recreation agencies, that means safer spaces, smarter resource use, faster responses, and stronger community engagement. And behind every great park story is great infrastructure. That's why Outdoor Link proudly supports DPRS Media Company, helping the Daily Parks and Rec Show amplify the voices of professionals shaping our communities every day. Outdoor Link, smart, connected solutions for parks, recreation, and beyond.
Different angles.
Welcome back to the Youth Sports Mastery Show. Marla and I are having an amazing conversation. I got chills. Just so you know, I'm getting messages coming in that are like, this is awesome. Keep it going. Fire it up.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's really cool. I love the real-time feedback. So thank you all for doing that. So Marla and I are talking about the youth sports experience, particularly in terms of the impact on kids. And now I want to lean a little bit into this whole thing about the leadership in the space but I think it's important. I was blessed to have coach after coach after coach to be mentor me and what it is. Give me a coach or two that when you were coming up, that, you know, we all got the story, but give me a coach or two that inspired you. And what were some of the things they did so that others can learn from that and go, you know what, I'd like to do that.
Absolutely. So Pat Thornton, I'm 10 years old. And as I mentioned, I'm fast, but I am tiny. And Pat Thornton, and you know, I truly don't know what his real job was, because when you're young athletes, you think that the coach, that their job and that what they get paid for is coming after they've served long hours in the corporate world.
Right.
But the one word that I carry from Pat Thornton is hustle. And he had a standard of excellence for us at a young age, 10, 11 years old, and hustle, hustle, hustle. And I can see teammates from those teams, and we can look at each other, and we mention Coach Thornton, and the first word that we say is hustle.
Yeah.
Because it was a standard of excellence. Not only did I thought hustle because I was fast, and then I realized hustle because that's what you do. That's what you do. When you're going from point A to point B, you're hustling. When you're coming out of the dugout, regardless what happened at the plate, you've got 6 or 7 seconds to sprint to your position. And so as I look back at your early age, I can't tell you wins and losses, but I can tell you that Coach Thornton cared about me as a person.
Yeah.
He motivated me. He inspired me, but he wanted the best for me. And he knew that hustle was a key word. And then in high school, we'll come back to it. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, because I think it's so important at the young coach, but my thought process. So let me tell you what we do. I want to tie this together. At the National Academy of Athletics, at our camps, clinics, programs, leagues, whatever it is, we use attention grabbers and a system. I want to get your feedback on this. So
okay.
When something's going on, we yell freeze because we want them to get used to our voice, and we kind of joke around, freeze, you know what?
Yep, however they are.
Right there are, because then especially if it's trying to figure out spacing, it's like, because you know, if you stop with a whistle, they start moving. No, we need it for second is which is so in line. I love your coach, man, because we do what's called countdown. So if I want them to get to the baseline or third baseline, whatever it is, I don't just say, hey, let's get over there, and then I give them a countdown. I go, I know it should take them 7 seconds, so I go 10, 9, 8. They just start running. They don't know why. They just start running. They get
absolutely.
There. And then we go eyes, and they clap back, and then boom, there's an energy. Like when I want to practice, I'm exhausted. You know what I mean? Like the energy exuded. And it sounds like your coach was one of those. So if you're a coach out there and you're going to be coaching kids, remember the energy you deliver. And how many times did your coach use the word hustle? 1 million?
Absolutely.
So pick your spots, pick the language, pick the vernacular, pick what you're going to make the prime, and use that enough that they go, yep, I get it. And it's consistent, right?
Yeah. And that's the same thing. I love this because that's the same thing I do at camps, because they hear that counting down and all of a sudden they're competing without realizing they're competing. Whether you're picking up balls, you're competing. And then the power clap, they do it.
Yeah.
And that makes them focus in.
Okay.
And as a coach, one of the things that I teach is don't scream and holler. If you want their attention, you stand there and look at them. All of a sudden, they realize coach has something to say. You start screaming and hollering, and they're going to try to get louder than you.
Right. So okay, I want to take this thread. I'm pulling this thread. I'm loving it. So now I've told him, and now all of a sudden, you notice it's the same kid that's always last in line. Right? They're always last one. You know what I do? Is when I do it, I go stand next to them. I run with them. Come on, let's get there. And give them a little bit of that competitive spirit and juice. And then when we get a chance away from everybody, I go, look, you don't have to be first.
That's right.
But we can't have you last, right?
Yep.
You want to play shortstop? You know my shortstop, when we line up, they have to be in the top third. They can't be in the bottom third. Can you do that for me? You want to play shortstop? That's what we're going to do. And those little agreements that gives them the sense of confidence and competitive spirit, to me, is what ignites those little endorphins, those little things, and that's what helps them thrive. Would you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely. And some of them Now, there's a couple reasons they may be last. They may be lazy. If they're lazy, then as a coach or a clinic instructor, then I'm taking a challenge that I'm going to help them to realize that there's something that you can do a little bit better. Now, if they're looking around and comparing themselves with others and other speeds, then we're sitting there saying, hey, I want you to know how fast you can get there. Don't worry about, as you said, where you're at in the order, but I want you to get there as quick as you can.
Yeah.
And then they put it just by that one-on-one, by that eye-to-eye contact, they're going to push yourself a little harder.
And it's funny to me because if the child learns to push himself even this much more, the next time they can do this without us telling them to do it, they start to realize, wait, I can do this. And that's my favorite part about coaching. You know, if you teach a kid to do something and they've done it a million times and they couldn't do it, and all of a sudden they do it and they're like surprised. I'm not surprised, right?
Yeah,
you
and teach them the word coachable, because all they know before they stepped onto the park and rec field is, I'm doing what my parents told me to do because they told me to do it. Now we're taking this and we're adding a ball or something, and we're challenging them to do it because you want to do it, to see just how good you can be.
Right. Yeah. And there's a pride that comes, and a walk and you see it, right? When they come back the next day and they just feel, and I love it. And that, to me, if we could teach the kids the competitive spirit to embrace the suck and just let it be their journey, they got a fighting chance. Now for you, mentally, one of the things that I've struggled with, we have a whole system. We have a high five program for our kids that literally we're rewarding not the athletic side, but the teamwork,
Yep.
the empathy, and all that. But what can you do to help coaches? Give them a couple of tips on this piece of it, because let's deal with failure. You got a player that goes up and they fail. They miss a shot or two, whether it's a game winner, they strike out, whatever it is, and they come to you as a coach. Coach, forget the parents for a second. As a coach, what can you do? Because you can't BS them. Oh, you did great. They know they sucked, right? Or they failed at that moment. So what can you give me some tips that can be translated to them to help as a coach, a youth coach, trying to help that kid to make them where they're not going to just crumble. They're going to want to do it again.
In that situation that you just mentioned, I would walk up, put my arm around her, him or her, and I would say, I can't wait to see how you respond. And they look, because we're talking about the future. We're not talking about something that happened in the past that we can't change.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see how you respond. But as coaches, my biggest challenge to you is that put them in those situations in practice. They've got to feel like that they've been there before. Put them on the line. Put them on the line with a tie score. Put them up to bat with bases loaded. Create those experiences, because I always like to say things happen twice. First in your mind, and then in reality. And so let them see themselves being successful in their mind, and then they're more apt to be able to do that in person. So as a coach, it's almost like stepping away a little bit from the X's and O's, and as a person, challenging them, recognizing the good that they did, and most of all, recognizing the future. Can I give you an example of that?
Yeah.
UAB is facing UCLA. We've already beat them once, put them in the loser's bracket of a NCAA regional tournament. My leading hitter comes down to championship game. The winner goes to face number 1 Florida. Winner of that goes to the World Series. 0 for 6. She's a senior. She's focusing more on my softball career is fixing to be over instead of where she's at right then. She came up to me and asked me to take her out of the lineup. 0 for 6. The way that I responded, are you kidding me? You're 0 for 6? You're a 350 hitter. Do you know whose turn it is? And she's like,
Yeah, that's right.
I said, it's your turn. She goes, you're right. I said, if you're 0 for 6 and you're talented as you are, guess what? You step up there, that pitcher does not want to face you. And what did she do? She stepped up, hit a gap to right center field, scored the runner from first, dog pile at the plate. She's not in the dog pile. When we practiced dog piles, she was in them, because you got to practice it. You got to put him in that situation. But at this moment, she was at third base, bawling her eyes out because she did something so important to help her team. forgot about her poor pitiful me moment, and got back in the present moment and helped her team.
I'm kind of choking up a little bit because I remember so many of those scenarios with my kids and in my journey and what we've done, that the opportunity, because you could have as a coach taken her out.
Oh, absolutely.
But I think what people don't realize is the damage that would have been done to her, right, by not giving that opportunity is significant. So I think as coaches, we have to realize, I ran a camp long time ago, 1983, with Magic Johnson, and he got all the staff together down there, and he said, what's the goal for the week? And these are really good high school coaches. They're talking about determination and fundamentals and all this. And Magic, with that big smile, put his hands up and goes, no, it's win kids, right? We're there to win kids. And I feel like we have to bring it back to where sports is about winning kids. Don't get me wrong, we want to compete. But so Parks and Rec, we're on the Daily Parks and Rec show. We're talking youth sports. It is about this. So I don't think there's a better place than the rec field. And I see what's going on. You coach at the highest level. If you have someone, whether they're talented or not, that's playing, let's stick with the softball, and they're 7 years old.
Yeah. I'm
stuck on, don't just go to competition right away. Go to camps, go to clinics, learn the fundamentals, learn the basics, play Parks and Rec, learn to be a good teammate, learn all those other things. The time will come for that. Where are you at on that? And we haven't had this conversation, so break it down for me. Where are you on that?
So as a Division I head softball coach, I adopted my daughter. She comes home from the hospital on a Monday. She's at a Division I softball game on Tuesday. She's on a 10-hour bus ride on Thursday. She lived the life of a collegiate athlete and had some incredible role models. But I told her, you will not play travel ball until you're 13. And she's like, okay. So we started the Park and Rec, and she starts at an early age. She's 6, 7, 8 years old, and she's fast. And we go to a tournament, and she's like maybe 9 years old, and somebody spots her, a very respected program, and they reached out. And I made her hold out for a little bit because I knew she had the speed to play at that level, but I had to explain to her the challenges that come along with it.
Yeah.
So where am I at? If that doesn't tell you where I'm at on that, I want you playing. I want you to challenge yourself at the highest level that you can challenge yourself, but I want you to play where you're going to get reps and you're going to get talented coaches working with you, praising you, building you as a person. I want you to go to camps and clinics, not just your favorite college, but I want you to experience, because you're going to get something from every single camp that you go to. And I want you to get in your backyard and play.
Yeah. It's funny because the same experience for my son, he was gifted. He played, by the way, we'll talk about football, baseball, the whole deal. And he was out there, and a coach came from a high school, said, I want him on the club. And I said, he's 10, go away.
Yep.
But we have a club. I don't care, because I wanted him to experience the joy.
Yes.
And you know what? There's nothing wrong if your kid is a badass and he's the best on the field. That's cool too, because you know what? He learns to be the leader and he learns those things, right? And that's part of the process. There's enough time to get to the level. And I'm not saying that every child should not play club. I'm not saying all club, whatever. But to your point, get quality instruction, but do it in a way that you get the reps. One of my good friends, Michael Herbert, talks about play down. He wanted his kid to play down a little bit because he wanted him to play somewhere where he could just be a kid and experience all the other wonderful things that come from playing sport, not just playing up. Because you know what happens? And I know it's ego for these parents sometimes. We got to stop this. Is my kid plays this and that whole deal. But you know what we found? The kid that plays year-round sports at 10 and 11 years old, that's playing up, they quit by the time they're junior, senior high school because it's no fun anymore.
Yep, absolutely. No, the joy, the experience, and the vision of what they want to do with their talent, but just the coachability and being able to make adjustments in their stance. In their eye-hand coordination. There's so many challenges that us as coaches need to really focus on that's going to help them many sports, multi-sports.
My son told me when that happened, he was 11, and we're playing the league, and he was pretty good. He, with the coach, was good enough to say, "Okay, Mace, you can drive the ball. You know what I want you to do now for this season? I want you to work on hitting the ball." He threw right, bat left. I want you to work on hitting the ball opposite field. So literally, almost every at bat he worked on. I mean, think about the ability to work on that.
Yep.
Right? He
Absolutely. Let it travel.
There you go. Exactly. Let it travel. Oh my goodness. Heard that, right? Okay. So let's talk about, you've said it 3 or 4 times now, multi-sport, right? Well, first of all, when we were kids, we played everything because that's all we did until the streetlights came on. That was our thing, right? But my kids got to play multiple sport. I'm big on play everything. I believe a child's body is an all-terrain vehicle, and they need to learn how to drive it and try it and test it and fall down, get up, and they get the mental sides of all that. Where are you on multi-sport in terms of by the age and the journey, the importance of it, and all the factors, especially for this thing?
Yeah. So as young athletes, anything that they're interested in playing or doing. I mean, it could be cheerleading, it could be gymnastics, it could be team sports, it could be individual sports. But if a parent wants to truly give them an opportunity to broaden their horizons, let them play. It's not just about being the best on every team that you're on. Because first of all, you've got to lead yourself. And that leadership skills then goes into your team, and other people see what you're doing. But there's nothing better than an elite athlete in one sport humbling themselves to playing a sport that they're not, that they're middle of the pack.
Right.
And I love that because it's challenge. But let's, whether it's a cardio sport or it's a sprinting sport, there's so many things that they get from each sport, as well as they get to be coached by different coaches, and they get to see different coaching styles. And so I think parents really, most of them get this, that I want to allow my child to participate in a variety of sports. Down the road, now, as a family, you have to define what down the road is.
Yeah.
Down the road, we will start to narrow it down to a few sports. The risk is injury. And you may be injured during basketball season and miss some of your softball or baseball season. There's a risk, but listen, we risk going to the mall.
Yeah.
We risk spraining our ankle, hurting our ankle.
Right.
And so I don't buy that. I don't buy that because we want them to live. We want them to be tough.
Well, the other thing about that too, though, is that, I met with some guys from Major League Baseball, and they said there's over a 650% increase in Tommy John surgery at younger and younger ages because kids are playing baseball year round. So for me, if you're playing it year round, I tell everybody the story. I love to eat steak, but if you made me eat steak 365 days a year, I'd become a vegan, and I want my steak. So we have to give variety, a spice of life. We have to let them play. To your point, I love that. What do you want to play? What do you want to play, right? Okay. No, I like that. I like that a lot. All right. So we mentioned earlier, we teased it. I want to come back to it. VJ Stanley is one of the best in terms of his conversation about the car ride and the ride home. Right. So this is one that if you weren't paying attention for the first, you better listen right now, because the car ride home, as well as the way there, I'll deal with the car ride in the sense of this. If I'm coaching my child, remember that they need to know you love them unconditionally, and they need to know when you're wearing your coaching hat and your parent hat, right? That's important. Okay. Yeah. But right, if you're a parent volunteer, this is important. But I want to take it to the car ride with you, because you mentioned earlier, and I got my notes, and I want to make sure we get there. We only got a few minutes left, but dig in on the car ride. Let's go.
Well, a lot of it, honestly, is the parent asking questions. Asking questions not along the lines of why did you do this or that, but how did they feel? How did they feel? What did they enjoy? And taking it back to what they just did, even if it was a successful outing, how did you feel? And let them find some emotions and some feelings inside them that they really don't often relate to being a young athlete. And so when you do that, you're encouraging them to reflect. And if it is a situation where they respond and they say how something made them feel and it's not a good feeling, and then you challenge them, what can you do different? Because first of all, did you give it everything you had? I am so proud of you. You laid it on the line. You work hard for that opportunity, and I'm proud of you for being out there. And then if you want to work, I'm here for you. If you want to take extra reps, but you've got to have that moment of silence when you'll know your child and you'll know when they're ready to talk.
I think that's
For both questions.
Yeah, I love that. Because so what we did when I had a son and daughter and single dad, and we're going from sport to sport, right? So we're done. So my rule was, as soon as the game was done, whoever just finished playing got to do three things. One, pick where they got to sit in the front seat or the back seat. With my son, if he played well, he wanted to sit in the front seat. If he didn't,
Absolutely.
I sit in the back, which is a good clue. My daughter, she always wanted, she was younger, she always sit in the front seat because she knew it pissed her brother off. So,
Exactly.
second was the music. They got to pick what station we were listening to. It's their vibe, put it on, whatever, let's roll. The third is they got to pick what we're going to have for lunch or go,
Right.
we're going to whatever. And where it really hit home to
I
me,
love that.
we lost the game in Cloverdale, California, and my daughter, I think, was a fourth grade girl on the team. We were coming back, and she goes, "I want to go to Applebee's, Dad." So we were going to dinner. We stopped at Applebee's. By the time we sat down, she had the pink and white sugar packets out, and she was diagramming the play. Dad, if we had just done this,
Yeah.
to me, that was the win, right?
That is a absolute win. And by you giving them those choices, you're taking away pressure from them. And that's an understanding. This isn't every once in a while. This is how we do things.
Yes.
And that's being a great coach parent, you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I do want to add that throughout my career of coaching different levels, for being an umpire, from being an athlete, ultimately, we want to touch lives.
Yeah.
And by touching lives, that means we support them, the highs and the lows, any sport, every sport that they want to participate in. And then when their playing days are over, they've taken the teamwork, the dedication, the time management skills, all of those things that they took and grew from being a young athlete into who they are as a person, and that's their identity. And so we always want to do identity before performance, and it benefits them long after the playing days.
Amen to that. And realize, Jim Perry, a big good friend of mine, he used to direct our superstar camp in Southern California, and he's big on our job in youth sports is to create good citizens, right?
Absolutely.
And that's the facts, Jack. That's what we're doing. So, all right. So here's the question. I got messages already come in. Hey, how do I get in touch with this lady? I want. What are you doing? You mentioned a book. So let's talk about that. You also mentioned that obviously you can reach out to me at the National Academy of Athletics and I can connect. But if people are watching, they want to talk to you, how do they get in touch with you? And then let's talk about your book for a second. Go for it.
Well, this is credible. First of all, your team is amazing. I've researched y'all, and I'm so proud to be asked to be on here with you. But for the people that you work with and the direction that we head in, it's incredible, and thank you. But my email is Marla, M-A-R-L-A, at marlatownsend.com. Anybody can reach out to me. We do have a journal coming out that's an interactive experience for athletes of all ages, but then we have a parenting of the young student athlete, and it's really going to be exciting. I do coming up on March 1st, I have a live webinar where if you'll go to my website, they're updating it now, it's marlatownsend.com. And there's going to be information on that. We're releasing it next week, middle of next week, and they're welcome to get on there with us. But reach out by email, Marla at marlatownsend.com, and let's grow this thing together because we're not at a stopping point. We've done great. That's great. No, we're continuing because what the future can hold just is unbelievable. And so let's play a part and touch lives along the way.
I love it. First of all, thanks for the kind words. more importantly, thanks for your energy, enthusiasm, and passion you deliver. I mean, as we connect through this process and see where we're going, this thing, youth sports needs us, but more importantly, they need this universe of all these parents, all these people to just go, okay, wait a second. And that's why I'm challenging you rec professionals. I'm giving a talk in California Parks and Recreation coming up in a couple weeks, and it's focused on bringing back rec to get the municipalities to take ownership, take a lead, stop giving up the fields and everything to all the clubs. Not fully, because they're important, but take ownership. Work with the National Cav Athletics, work with the Marlins, work with the people to bring that back, because the community that is built through Parks and Recreation, there's none better. There's just none better, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so many people are doing it, but as long as we can continue to challenge people to get on the bandwagon, let's do it, because they're worth it.
Absolutely. I'm going to make sure to share your stuff as well as we continue going forward.
Yes.
We're going to circle back. I definitely I got to look at my calendar, but this summer I want to circle back and get the updates on what's going on and hear about stuff, keep sending the links and all that. And to you folks out there that are listening, thank you so much for being a part of this thing and this adventure and this journey. Huge shout out to the DPRS folks, because without that, this thing doesn't work. And remember, if you're going to go out there, remember to play hard and have fun, because that's what it's all about. Thanks, Marla. Safe travels. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Be well.
Thank you.
Before the game, before the lights, before the pressure, there's a moment most people never see. Welcome to The Athlete's Commute, a podcast distributed by DPRS Media Network, co-produced by Her Sports, and hosted by Jordan Ziff. Each episode, Jordan gets behind the wheel, driving athletes to practice, to training, to game day, while getting to know who they really are beyond the jersey. The mindset, the grind, the sacrifices, the moments no one talks about. No scripts, no filters, just real conversations in real motion. Because every athlete has a journey, and every journey deserves to be heard. This is The Athlete's Commute. Buckle up.
On the Daily Parks and Rec Show, we bring you the real stories of tomorrow's professionals, people shaping the future, one idea at a time. Meet the very first DPRS interns to officially host their own segment, Aidan Tierney and Michael Morrow. With curiosity, passion, and a fresh perspective, they're stepping into the spotlight to lead meaningful conversations with today's rising leaders. The Young Professionals Network takes you inside the journeys, challenges, and major wins of young individuals making their mark across industries. From first jobs to bold ventures, every story fuels growth, ambition, and innovation. Each episode brings real conversations, fresh perspectives, and impactful insights created to motivate the next generation of professionals. Whether you're just starting out, exploring new paths, or figuring out your next move. Tune in to the Young Professionals Network every Thursday at 5 p.m. only on the Daily Parks and Rec Show. Don't miss it, because your next big idea might be one story away. Are you a vendor, brand, or service provider ready to connect with the heartbeat of local communities? At DPRS Media Co., we tell the stories shaping parks and recreation across America. Through podcasts, live streams, videos, and newsletters, we reach frontline leaders, city directors, and decision makers every single week. From youth sports and facilities to programming and policy, our audience is your audience. Sponsoring or partnering with DPRS Media Co. puts your brand in front of the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. Launching a new product, growing your presence in public spaces, targeting cities, counties, or departments, DPRS is your trusted media partner. Whether you're in software, turf, aquatics, robotics, smart cities, or special events, partnering with DPRS puts your brand in the story. With commercials, interviews, social campaigns, newsletters, and live shows, we're your media team. Partner with us and grow your impact in the $200 billion parks and rec industry. DPRS Media Co. Stories that move parks and rec forward. Your audience is here. Let's meet them.